Have you ever felt like life after 70 is like an instruction manual no one bothered to write? Maybe you found yourself looking back with a bit of nostalgia and looking forward with some uncertainty, wondering if there's still room for something extraordinary. It's easy to fall into the idea that the best days are behind you, right? And sure, the days can feel routine, filled with physical aches and relationships that aren't always what you hoped for. But between you and me, what if I told you there's a small percentage of people who not only challenge those beliefs, but also discover ways to live with more fulfillment, purpose, and even a touch of boldness? I'm Gabriel, and today I want to share with you the 9 things that only 5% of people over 70 manage to do. These aren't magic tricks or empty advice. They're uncomfortable truths, powerful choices, and in some cases, small acts of courage that completely change the game. Stick with me until the end, because the last of these lessons might just redefine the way you look at every day you have ahead. And who knows, you might just find that being part of that 5% becomes your new favorite place to be. Let's get started. Number 1. Decide how you want to be remembered. Most of us spend a good part of our lives worrying about the day-to-day, chasing goals, responsibilities, or sometimes just simple distractions. But there comes a point when the question that truly matters hits hard. What will be left of me when I'm no longer here? It's uncomfortable, even a little terrifying, but that same question has the power to spark a clarity like few other things in life. Because let's be honest, we haven't always lived with intention. Sometimes we get carried away by what others expect, other times we're just trying to survive, and along the way, we forget to write the story we truly wanted to tell. Epictetus, a wise Stoic philosopher, once said, "It's not death that should concern us, but never beginning to truly live." And truly living isn't about accumulating achievements or seeking approval. Living means understanding that every action, no matter how small, builds the legacy we leave in others. It's not about grand feats or having your name appear in a history book. It's about how you make the people around you feel, the meaningful moments you create, and the values you choose to uphold even when no one else values them. Imagine for a moment that you have the chance to watch your life from the outside, like it's a movie. What story would you tell? Is it a story of someone who lived trapped by fear, or someone who, despite everything, found ways to offer something unique to the world? Maybe your story is filled with ordinary days and quiet moments, but even there lies immense power. Simple things like truly listening to someone, tending to a garden, or leaving sincere advice to a loved one are gestures that leave a much deeper mark than any pretty words or empty promises. Legacy isn't something you leave behind only at the end of your life. It's something you build every single day. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the horrors of concentration camps, said, "Life only has meaning if we find something greater than ourselves to live for." That something can be your family, your friends, your passions, or even the way you choose to face the hardest days. But you need to decide what it is. You can't let your legacy build itself by accident, or worse yet, allow others to write it for you. And here's an uncomfortable truth. You can't control what others think of you, but you can control how you live, so that in the end, your actions speak for themselves. Being remembered isn't about impressing others, it's about making an impact. When people think of you, will they remember the comfort of your presence, the wisdom of your words, or perhaps the way you faced life with dignity? Those things can't be bought or improvised. They are cultivated through every decision you make. Today, I want you to reflect on this. How do you want to be remembered? What values, gestures, or lessons would you like to leave as seeds in the lives of those around you? It doesn't matter how much time you think you have left. What matters is living with the intention of leaving something that endures, because in the end, what defines a life is not how long it lasted, but how much value it held for those who shared it with you. Number 2, live as if your time is a gift, not a countdown. It's funny how we go through life believing we have all the time in the world, until one day, suddenly, we realize that clock we never paid attention to has been ticking away non-stop. That's when the inevitable question arises: what have I done with all this time? And then comes the mental list of should-haves, as if regret could somehow change things. I should have traveled more, I should have learned to dance, I should have said I love you more often, and maybe later, less. It's a cruel game, isn't it? But here's the trick. It's not about what you didn't do before, it's about what you choose to do now. I remember Martha, a neighbor who was 73 when we started chatting at a nearby park. Martha was one of those people with such intense energy that she seemed to light up any place she was in, even though her life hadn't been easy. She had lost her husband a few years earlier, and since then, loneliness had become her shadow. But she wasn't the kind of person to simply give up. When I asked her how she managed to stay so cheerful, she said, "One day I woke up and realized I didn't want my life to be just a memory of what was no longer there. So I decided that every day would be a gift, even if I didn't always feel like unwrapping it." That line stuck with me. Martha wasn't ignoring her pain or pretending life was perfect. She had simply made a conscious decision to treat each day as an opportunity, not as a reminder of the time that had passed. From then on, she signed up for a photography class, something she had always wanted to do but never had time to learn. Every week, she went out with her camera, capturing moments that would have otherwise gone unnoticed: sunlight glinting off a leaf, a child's laughter, the wrinkles on an old man's hands. "You know," she told me once, "learning to see the world through a lens made me realize how many beautiful things I'd been missing while rushing around from one place to another." What Martha discovered, and what so many of us forget, is that time doesn't have to be an enemy. It's a gift, but like all gifts, it's up to us to make the most of it or leave it sitting in a corner gathering dust. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, or 80. The time you have now is no less valuable than the time you had at 20. The only difference is what you choose to do with it. And here's the secret Martha taught me without even realizing it. Living as if time is a gift doesn't mean filling every day with grand adventures or extraordinary achievements. It means learning to enjoy what's right in front of you, even if it seems small. It's choosing to spend time with someone you care about, learning something that sparks your curiosity, or simply taking a moment to watch the sky change colors at sunset. Because in the end, it's not the years that give meaning to a life, but the way you choose to fill them. So the next time you catch yourself thinking about what you don't have time to do anymore, remember that the only day that truly matters is the one you have right now. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find that what seemed like a countdown is actually an invitation to live with more intention and fewer regrets. Number 3, break the chains of "I can't anymore." When you stop dreaming, you start dying, said Malcolm Forbes. It's an unsettling quote because it forces us to face how many times we've given up on something before even trying. How many times have you told yourself you're too old to learn something new, to explore a passion, or simply to change a habit? It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking certain doors are closed just because the years have passed. But here's the truth. The only chains holding you back are the ones you choose not to break. And if you don't believe me, I have a little challenge for you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine something you've always wanted to do. Maybe it's learning to play an instrument, dancing tango, writing a book, or simply getting back in shape. Now, instead of thinking about why you can't do it, I want you to imagine how your life would feel if you took that first step. How would you feel waking up knowing you're getting closer, even just a little, to something that excites you? That image is not a fantasy, it's a possibility. Because Whether you believe it or not, you still have time, and more importantly, you have the power to choose what you do with it. Here's a practical exercise you can start today. Simple, but effective. Write down one thing you've always wanted to do, but have put off. It doesn't have to be something grand or complicated, just something that sparks that little flame of excitement in you. Then right beneath that wish, write down a single step you can take within the next 24 hours to get closer to it. It doesn't matter how small that step is. What matters is that you take it. Maybe it's researching, signing up for a class, or simply dusting off that old notebook you've kept stored away. If these words are resonating with you and you feel it's time to start challenging your own limits, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. Here, we share tools and reflections to help you discover new ways to live with purpose and joy, no matter your age. And if you'd like, tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what dream you'd like to start chasing. I'd love to read your story and know that we're connected on this journey of growth. Remember, "I can't anymore" is just a phrase, an idea that can fade away if you choose to confront it with action. It's not about achieving everything in a single day or striving for perfection. It's about discovering that as long as you keep moving forward, it's never too late to turn your life into something that makes you feel truly alive. As Seneca said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Number 4, learn to say no without guilt. It's funny how such a small word can feel so heavy. Saying no is an art that many never master, not because they don't want to, but because guilt, that quiet ghost, seems to whisper in their ear every time they try to protect their time, energy, or peace. From a young age, we're taught that being good means pleasing others, that saying yes is the key to being loved and accepted. But here's an uncomfortable truth. A yes loaded with resentment or exhaustion benefits no one. So why do we keep saying it? The answer lies in our need for approval. It's that fear of disappointing others, of them thinking we're not generous enough, committed enough, or kind enough. But every time you say yes to something you don't want or can't do, you're saying no to yourself, no to your rest, no to your priorities, no to the things that truly matter. Saying no isn't selfish, it's a form of self-respect. And respecting yourself isn't just fair, it's essential. Let me suggest a practical exercise. The next time someone asks you for something, pause before responding. Take a few seconds to breathe and ask yourself, do I really want to do this? If the answer is no, say it calmly but firmly. You can use phrases like, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now." You'll notice the world doesn't fall apart because you set a boundary, and the best part is that you'll feel a small spark of freedom within you. That spark is your energy, the same energy you've sacrificed so many times to meet expectations that weren't even yours. I know it's not easy. The guilt doesn't disappear overnight, and the disappointed looks or the insistent questions from others can make you doubt yourself. But over time, you'll discover something powerful. The people who truly value you don't care about your ability to say yes to everything. They care about the authenticity and respect with which you handle your boundaries. And those who don't understand that, maybe they were never as close to you as you thought. Learning to say no also teaches you to appreciate your yeses more. When you choose from a place of honesty and willingness, every commitment you make feels more meaningful, more genuine. It's like clearing out a cluttered room. Suddenly, the space feels lighter, more yours. So the next time guilt tries to take control, remind yourself that you can't be everything to everyone. And that's okay. Sometimes, the most generous thing you can do for others is show them it's okay to prioritize yourself, that it's okay to choose. Because in the end, a no spoken with respect is worth far more than a yes given out of obligation. Number 5. Find freedom in what you can control. In ancient Rome, a slave philosopher named Epictetus turned what seemed like a miserable fate into one of the most powerful lessons in history. Epictetus had no control over his status as a slave, his master's whims, or even the limitations of his own body, as he suffered from a physical disability. But while many in his position would have fallen into despair, he discovered a power no one could take away: his ability to choose how to interpret and respond to his circumstances. His famous teaching, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters," is an eternal reminder that true freedom doesn't lie in external events, but in how we handle what happens within us. Now let's fast forward a couple of millennia to the present. How many times have you felt trapped by things beyond your control? Maybe you feel frustrated because someone didn't meet your expectations, because your body doesn't respond the way it used to, or because the world seems to be moving too fast and you feel like you're barely keeping up. It's a common scenario, but here's the problem. By focusing on what you can't change, you waste valuable energy you could be using to transform what's actually within your power. Let's think about Epictetus again. He couldn't free himself from slavery, but he could decide how to face each day. He couldn't change his past, but he could choose how to shape his mind in the present. You don't need to be a Stoic philosopher to apply this lesson, but you do need to understand one thing: as long as you keep fighting against the uncontrollable, you're giving up your own peace. I want you to take a moment to reflect. Think of something that has frustrated you recently. Maybe it's a comment someone made, a decision you had no part in, or a worry about the future you can't resolve right now. Ask yourself, can I change this? If the answer is no, then you have two options: keep tormenting yourself or decide to let it go. Sounds simple, right? But here's the trick. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about redirecting your attention to what you can actually do. This is where freedom begins. You can't control the weather, but you can choose to enjoy a walk in the rain. You can't control how someone treats you, but you can decide how you respond and what space you allow them to occupy in your life. You can't stop the passage of time, but you can choose how you live each day you have left. This isn't just some ancient philosophy, it's a practical guide for reclaiming your peace amid the chaos. The beauty of this idea is that it doesn't require big external changes, just an internal decision. Every time you choose to focus your energy on what's within your control, you're reclaiming a piece of your freedom. Maybe it's something as small as choosing gratitude for what you have instead of lamenting what's missing. Or maybe it's taking a pause instead of reacting impulsively. It's in those small acts where a fuller, more serene life begins. Freedom isn't a place you reach when everything is in order. It's a state of mind you access when you stop trying to control the world and start managing how you relate to it. Because, as Epictetus taught us, no one can chain your spirit if you decide that your peace depends only on you. Number 6, live lighter by letting go of what you can't carry. Imagine you're carrying a suitcase. Not just any suitcase, but one of those old, worn-out ones with wheels that barely turn and a zipper that always gets stuck. In the beginning, when you packed it, you filled it with things you thought you needed. Memories, expectations, unfulfilled dreams, guilt, and even a couple of grudges you believed might be useful one day. Over time, every step you took became heavier. That suitcase didn't just slow you down. It kept you from looking forward because you were too busy adjusting it, dragging it, trying to keep it from bursting open. Now tell me, how much of what you're carrying do you actually need? The truth is, whether we like to admit it or not, many of us are dragging around suitcases filled with things that no longer make sense. Grudges against people who probably don't even remember what they did to us. Guilt over decisions we can't change, as if punishing ourselves now would somehow alter the past. Fears about the future that we carry like protective charms, when in reality, they only wear us down faster. All of that takes up space, consumes energy, and leaves us too exhausted to enjoy what truly matters. But letting go isn't easy, is it? There's a part of us that clings to that suitcase as if leaving it behind would mean losing part of our identity. If I let go of this resentment, who am I without it? If I release this expectation, what's left of my dreams? It's a strange and contradictory dilemma because we know that burden is hurting us, but we're also terrified of facing the emptiness that remains when we finally set it down. Here's where the metaphor comes in. Imagine you arrive at a river, a wide and calm river, whose current invites you to float instead of struggle. The only way to cross it is by leaving the suitcase behind, because you can't swim while holding on to it. It's a difficult moment because you don't know what awaits you on the other side. But as soon as you decide to let go and feel the water supporting you, you realize something important. What you truly need to cross has always been within you. Everything else was just dead weight. Life works in a similar way. Letting go isn't about forgetting or ignoring what happened. It's about recognizing that you don't have to carry it all to move forward. Some things don't need a solution. They simply need to be left behind. Resentment doesn't change the past, but letting it go transforms your present. Guilt doesn't repair mistakes, but freeing yourself from it allows you to be kinder to yourself. And fears about the future don't make it more predictable, but releasing that anxiety gives you the chance to enjoy the here and now. So ask yourself, what are you carrying in your suitcase that no longer serves you? Maybe it's time to open it, examine its contents, and leave behind what has fulfilled its purpose or what never should have been there in the first place. Because living lighter doesn't mean giving up everything, it means carefully choosing what truly deserves a place in your life. And if you ever doubt, remember this. Freedom isn't about what you hold on to, but what you choose to let go of. Number 7, make your body a bridge, not a barrier. The body, that inseparable companion we carry throughout our lives, is often the target of our most constant complaints. I can't do what I used to. This hurts, that hurts. This mirror must be lying to me. But how often do we stop to appreciate it? It's easy to forget that this same body, with all its aches and limitations, is still the only vehicle we have to experience the world. If we really think about it, we treat our body like an old tool. We use it without care until it starts to fail. And then we blame it for not living up to our expectations. But here's an uncomfortable question. What have you done for it lately? In ancient Greece, Olympic athletes didn't just revere their bodies as a means of competition. They saw them as a bridge between the divine and the human, a way to honor life itself. You don't have to be an athlete to adopt that philosophy. You can start seeing your body as a bridge, not as a barrier that separates you from what you want to do. A bridge that allows you to move, feel, and connect with what you love. Yes, that bridge may have some cracks, but it's still holding you up, and that in itself is something to be grateful for. The truth is, many of the problems we associate with the body don't come from its limitations, but from our relationship with it. We get frustrated because it doesn't respond the way it did 20 years ago, because it doesn't fit the standards someone else decided to impose, or because we think it's not worth caring for, if in the end, we all end up in the same place. But what if, instead of focusing on what's missing, we start working with what we have? What if, instead of seeing it as an enemy, we choose to turn it into an ally? Picture this. One day, you decide to get up, not to lament what you can't do, but to explore what you still can. Maybe it's a gentle walk you once took for granted, or stretching slowly to feel how your muscles, though stiff, still respond. In that moment, Your body stops being a barrier and starts becoming a bridge to something greater, a connection with yourself. It doesn't matter if it's small, it doesn't matter if it seems insignificant. What matters is that you allow yourself to experience it. The key lies in intentional care. This doesn't mean obsessing over diets, grueling routines, or miracle supplements. It means listening to your body, understanding its signals, and responding with patience. Eating something that nourishes you, moving a little more each day, resting when you need to. These small acts are like repairing the bridge that is your body, strengthening it so it can continue supporting you for longer and with more dignity. I know it can be hard to change the narrative, especially when you've spent years seeing your body as a source of frustration. But if you decide to shift that perspective, something wonderful happens. You start to feel more in control. Not because you eliminate all your problems, but because you learn to work with them instead of against them. And in that process, you discover that your body, with all its scars and limitations, is still a gift. At the end of the day, what matters is not how many things you've stopped doing because of your body, but how many things you've allowed it to do for you. Think about this. If today you choose to treat it with a little more respect and care, what could you experience tomorrow? The answer might surprise you, because sometimes the first step toward a fuller life begins by making peace with the one who has always been there to support you, no matter how difficult the road has been. Number 8, embrace the silence and listen to what you've never told yourself. We live in a world that seems terrified of silence. Everything is designed to fill the gaps. The TV left on even when no one's watching, notifications buzzing non-stop, conversations that say nothing. And amid all that noise, it's easy to forget the sound of your own inner voice. Maybe it's because listening to it can be uncomfortable. In silence, thoughts you've tried to hide emerge, fears, dreams you've postponed, wounds that remain unhealed. But here's the important question. How much longer do you plan to ignore all of that? The philosopher Seneca said, "No wind is favorable to the sailor who doesn't know where he's going." And how can you know where you're headed if you never stop to listen to yourself? External noise is a convenient refuge to avoid that confrontation, but it also distances you from the clarity and peace you could find if you dared to sit with the silence. Today, I want to offer you a simple but transformative challenge. Find 5 minutes a day to be completely silent. You don't need to sit in a lotus position or light scented candles, though if that helps, go ahead. Just find a quiet place, turn off everything that makes noise, and sit with yourself. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your mind will probably start throwing random reminders at you. You need to go to the store. Did you lock the door? Or even, this feels weird. Let it all pass. The goal isn't to control your thoughts, but to observe them, like clouds drifting across the sky. While you do this, ask yourself something simple yet profound. How am I really doing? It sounds like an easy question, but few people dare to answer it honestly. This habit, even though it seems small, has deep roots in Stoic philosophy and practices like mindfulness, both of which are backed by scientific studies showing that silence and meditation not only reduce stress, but also improve mental clarity and decision-making. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, practiced what they called inner retreat, a moment each day to reflect on their actions, thoughts, and emotions. It was their way of realigning themselves with what truly mattered. You can do the same. Silence isn't an emptiness to be filled, it's a space to be explored. It's in those minutes that you start to notice things you once overlooked, what truly makes you happy, what's weighing you down, what you can let go of. In that space, answers to questions you've been avoiding begin to surface with more clarity. And most importantly, you start to remember that amid the external chaos, you always have an inner refuge to return to. Today, I want to invite you to, once this video ends, set aside those 5 minutes to try this challenge. All you need is the desire to listen to yourself and the willingness not to run from what you find. Because in that simple yet powerful act, you can begin to clear away the noise that distracts you from what truly matters and reconnect with the person who matters most, you. Remember, silence isn't just a pause, it's a beginning. Number 9, learn to start over again and again. In 1978, a 76-year-old woman named Anna Mary Robertson decided it was time to do something different with her life. Up until then, her story seemed unremarkable. She had worked as a farmer, housekeeper, and maid. But when arthritis prevented her from continuing the manual tasks that had always defined her daily routine, something within her changed. Instead of surrendering to pain and inactivity, she decided to try something she had never done before: painting. With cheap paints and improvised canvases, she began creating paintings inspired by her rural life, filled with vibrant colors and a strange warmth that seemed to come from a long-lost corner of time. And that's how Grandma Moses, as her admirers called her, became one of the most beloved artists in American art. The most fascinating part of Anna Mary's story isn't that she became a painter at an age when many believe there's no room left for new beginnings. It's that she never allowed the limitations of her body or the expectations of others to define what she could do. To her, life was a blank canvas, no matter how many years she had spent painting. Her works began to gain worldwide recognition, and before her death at the age of 101, she had produced over 1,500 paintings, many of which are now displayed in prestigious museums. The story of Grandma Moses is a reminder that it's never too late to start over, but it's not just an inspiring tale. It's also profoundly Stoic. Marcus Aurelius said, "Every day is a new life to a wise man." The idea that we can reinvent ourselves, no matter how many times the world or we ourselves have said it's impossible, is one of the most powerful teachings of Stoicism. From a psychological perspective, the concept of resilience aligns perfectly with this idea. Studies have shown that our ability to adapt and find new meaning, even in the face of adversity, is what defines a fulfilling life. It's not about how many times we fall, but how many times we choose to rise with the intention of trying something new. It's an act of courage that not only challenges time, but also our own limiting beliefs. So, how do you apply this lesson to your life? First, stop listening to that inner voice that says, "I'm too old for this." It's a phrase that kills dreams before they even have a chance to be born. Then ask yourself, if I could start something new today, what would it be? Maybe you've always wanted to learn to write poetry, cook something beyond the basics, or even plant a tree in your garden. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is taking the first step, no matter how small it seems. Anna Mary didn't start with prestigious galleries. She started with a cheap paintbrush and the desire to fill her days with something meaningful. Life doesn't always offer guarantees, but it does offer opportunities. Every sunrise is an invitation to try again, to add new colors to your personal canvas. It doesn't matter how old you are or how many times you've believed it's too late for you. As Grandma Moses showed us, every new beginning is a declaration that you're still here, ready to create, learn, and be surprised. Because in the end, the only thing truly too late in life is never daring to try. If you've made it this far, I want to tell you something important. It doesn't matter what stage of life you're in, the simple fact that you're here, reflecting and making room for new ideas, already makes you someone extraordinary. Living with intention, questioning yourself, and looking for ways to grow is not something everyone does, and you've done it, and that deserves recognition. This journey we've shared today isn't just about theories or advice. It's about reminding you that you still have the power to write incredible chapters in your story, no matter how many pages have already been turned. I would love for you to share the phrase, "I am Stoic," in the comments and tell me which country you're listening from. Knowing about you, where you are in the world, and how these reflections resonate with you not only inspires me to keep creating this content, but it also connects us as a community. If this message has touched you in some way, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone you think needs to hear it. Sometimes a well-timed word can be the beginning of a profound change for someone else. Because in the end, life isn't measured by how much time we have, but by what we do with it. And every day you choose to live with purpose, curiosity, and gratitude is a day that adds to a fuller, richer existence. If there's one thing that's clear after this journey, it's that it's never too late to start again, to let go of what's weighing you down, to be grateful for what you have, and to look forward with hope. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Your presence here means more than you can imagine. I'll see you in the next chapter, where we'll continue exploring together how to make each day an opportunity to grow and live with more meaning.